Dear Chosen One, I need you to breathe for a second, because what I'm about to share might confirm something you've been feeling deep inside, but couldn't explain. That strange, lingering sensation that the person you once loved, trusted, and spiritually recognized is no longer who they used to be. You look into their eyes and see glimpses of someone familiar, but the energy? It's different, colder, calculated, like a presence that knows how to imitate, but not how to love. This isn't your imagination playing tricks on you. It's not trauma, paranoia, or overthinking. It's your soul detecting a swap that happened on a level most people will never understand. And now, you're not just dealing with a heartbreak. You're facing a spiritual hijacking. There are forces in this world, Chosen One, that don't come to harm you directly, but to replace what is sacred to you. A dark priestess has done something unthinkable. She's infiltrated your soul's story by switching places with the one who was meant to walk beside you. Not metaphorically, energetically, spiritually. She didn't just copy your twin flame's voice, her patterns, or her smile. She stepped into the resonance of her very soul, using it as a costume. And the worst part? She's using your own loyalty against you, holding your emotions hostage, feeding off the depth of love that was never meant for her. Meanwhile, the real one, the one your soul was tied to before this life, remains trapped, silenced, hidden beneath a veil woven by deception. If this is resonating with you on a level you can't quite explain, stay with me. Because what I'm going to reveal in this message may break illusions you've carried for far too long and finally set your energy free. I'll help you recognize the signs, decode the spiritual sabotage, and understand why the connection you've been clinging to is no longer what it seems. But most importantly, I'll show you what you must do to rescue yourself from this spiritual entanglement, and possibly even help free the one who's been silenced in her place. If you feel this in your spirit, type, "I see the switch," in the comments right now. It's time to break the illusion. Like this video, subscribe, and activate the bell. Because what's coming next will open your eyes in ways they've never been opened before. This kind of spiritual takeover doesn't happen overnight. It begins slowly, almost silently, through tiny compromises, emotional openings, and unseen wounds. Your twin flame, at one point, might have been walking fully in her light, but something in her frequency shifted. Maybe it was pain, maybe it was pride, maybe it was the seduction of false power. But somewhere along the line, she let her guard down, and in that moment, the dark priestess stepped in. Not with force, with familiarity, with the intention to possess, not love, to mimic, not unite. And before anyone could notice the change, the switch was complete. You started noticing the signs, didn't you? Subtle at first. A lack of spiritual resonance, a coldness you couldn't explain. Words that once awakened your soul now felt hollow. Her energy wasn't feeding you, it was draining you. And every time you tried to confront it, you were left feeling confused, as if your own intuition had turned against you. That's because this infiltration wasn't just emotional, it was energetic. It was a coded mimicry of what your spirit once recognized as sacred. She began showing up in your dreams, but the dreams carried a strange weight. Her eyes looked the same, but the feeling? It was off. The love, conditional, manipulative, designed to keep you longing but never receiving. That's not your twin. That's a mask. a role being played by someone who's mastered the art of seduction through spiritual deception. And the more you try to hold on, the more power she gains over your focus, your clarity, and your mission. The Dark Priestess doesn't want your heart. She wants your energy field. She's after the divine frequency that was meant to be shared between two aligned souls. She knows that by keeping you emotionally entangled with her, she can access the codes that were never meant for her hands. This is not just a toxic relationship, it's a hijacking of sacred alignment. And the most dangerous part? It feels just real enough to keep you questioning yourself instead of the source. Behind the scenes, your real twin flame is not gone. She's imprisoned, spiritually muted, trapped in a place where her voice can't reach you, where her essence is overshadowed by this spiritual imposter. She might even be trying to call for help in the astral, sending signals, glimpses, emotional echoes. But those cries get intercepted by the one who took her place. That's why you feel her, and don't feel her at the same time. That's why your soul is restless, even when your mind tries to move on. Meanwhile, the impact on you is growing. You've probably felt emotionally disoriented, like no matter what you do, you're being pulled into a cycle of longing, confusion, and fatigue. You're not just heartbroken, you're being spiritually drained by someone who should never have had access to your sacred space. This isn't love. This is spiritual sabotage, camouflaged as connection. And if you've been wondering why nothing feels clear anymore, why your inner compass seems disrupted, this is why. When you stay tied to an energy that doesn't belong in your field, you lose touch with your own signal. And until the switch is recognized and rejected, the real one remains silenced, and the imposter continues to feed off the light that was meant for something divine. You've tried to pull away. You've sensed the weight of it all. Maybe you've even distanced yourself physically. But still, something keeps pulling you back. A voice, a memory, a feeling you can't shake. That's because she's not just imitating your twin flame's presence, she's feeding on your memory of her. The Dark Priestess is using the emotional blueprint of the real connection to stay plugged into your field. And every time you entertain the hope that it's her, you re-energize the lie. You've probably asked yourself, if this isn't her, why do I still dream of her? The answer is spiritual interference. The imposter is broadcasting signals through the remnants of your original connection, like a hacked frequency. And unless you spiritually sever the cords, your subconscious will keep responding to the wrong source. It's not your twin flame calling. It's the one who took her place, mimicking her voice in your dreams, her warmth in your memories, her pain in your heart. It's a trap of familiarity, designed to keep you chasing what's already been stolen. This is why you still feel emotionally tethered, because she's not trying to love you. She's trying to feed from you. She's using your hope, your loyalty, and your unresolved love as fuel. The deeper your devotion, the stronger her grip. That's why the confusion hasn't lifted. You're not wrong for feeling the connection. You're just connected to the wrong soul, wearing the right face. And this is where the danger lies. When the soul you once loved becomes the very prison that keeps you stuck. It's no longer just emotional. It's spiritual warfare, and your heart is the battlefield. The longer you stay entangled, the more your own frequency begins to dim. You start second-guessing your intuition. You delay your purpose. You wait for someone who can't return, because she's no longer in control of her own vessel. The false version of love you're being offered is poisonous. It doesn't nourish. It drains. It doesn't evolve. It entraps. But because it's delivered through a familiar channel, your heart resists letting go. That's the genius of this deception. It's not obvious. It mimics just enough light to blind you to its darkness. And by the time you realize it, your soul has already lost time, focus, and clarity. But here's the deeper truth. Chosen one, the reason she wants to stay in that position is because of who you are. Your mission, your light, your path. None of it is ordinary. And if she can keep you distracted, lost in longing, emotionally entangled with a lie, she keeps you from activating your full power. That's the real agenda. Not love, not connection, just interference. And maybe now you're starting to feel it in your bones, that unsettling realization that the more you cling to what you thought was sacred, the more you delay the release of the one who's been silenced. You're not just holding on to a false bond, you're unknowingly reinforcing the spiritual prison where your real twin is still waiting. The moment you realize that your loyalty is sustaining the illusion, everything shifts. You were never meant to remain bound to a lie. And this isn't just about letting go of a person. It's about unbinding your energy from a false assignment. As long as your emotional devotion is invested in the wrong soul, the Dark Priestess remains empowered. She uses your own heart against you. But when you begin to reclaim your clarity, when you dare to say, "This is not her," even if it hurts, you break the enchantment. That's when the illusion begins to weaken. Because the spell can only last as long as you keep believing. The mask is real. The key to freeing your twin flame is not chasing her, begging for signs, or waiting for her to wake up. It's in detaching from what is not her, no matter how familiar it feels. There is something divine that happens when you stop feeding the distortion. The energy that once fueled the imposter starts to collapse. The mask starts to fade. And in the spiritual silence that follows, your real twin may begin to stir. Her essence, long buried beneath manipulation, may finally start to break through the fog. But this won't happen while you're still clinging to the counterfeit connection. Your clarity is her opening. Think of it like a mirror that's been reflecting someone else's face. No matter how much love you pour into that reflection, it won't reach the one you're truly connected to, because she's not the one standing there. You've been pouring devotion into a distortion, and your soul knows it. That's why you've felt tired, disconnected. That's why your spiritual gifts have been flickering. You've been leaking your power into a false channel. And the longer you stay, the more blurred the line between truth and illusion becomes, until even your intuition starts to question itself. It's time to test the spirits. Not everyone who comes in the name of love is from the light. Even the scriptures warn us, not all spirits are from God. And you, chosen one, are not being asked to judge or condemn, but to discern, to see beneath the presentation, to recognize when the voice calling to you is not love, but manipulation, when the pull you feel is not divine, but designed to trap you. This is your invitation to stop asking, "What if she changes?" and start asking, "Is this even her at all?" And now, with eyes open, you may start to look back and realize the signs were always there. The coldness, the energetic shift, the inconsistency, the way your peace started to fade, even as you tried to convince yourself it was just a phase. But love doesn't erase your peace. It anchors it. Real connection doesn't confuse your spirit. It brings clarity. What you've been tolerating is not love. It's spiritual manipulation dressed in the costume of destiny. And it's time to wake up from that spell. Your soul didn't betray you. It's been trying to warn you all along. The discomfort you felt wasn't a punishment. It was a signal, a sacred alarm. And now that you know, you can't unknow. Now that you've seen the difference between resonance and imitation, between divine alignment and spiritual theft, you're being called to choose, not between two women, but between illusion and truth, between bondage and freedom, between staying asleep and finally, truly waking up. Because the moment you withdraw your energy from the imposter, the prison starts to crack. The real one, the by soul you were divinely tied to, can begin to return, not through force, not through longing, but through clarity, through liberation, through the stillness that follows after you've stopped entertaining the voice that never truly belonged. That's when healing begins. That's when the real light returns, not as a fantasy, but as a restored reality. And it all begins with you. And this isn't just about your twin flame anymore. This is about how you've been trained, spiritually and emotionally, to stay loyal to pain that wears the face of love, to protect a memory, even when the present reality is hollow. It's about how your light was weaponized against you, how your willingness to believe the best in someone used to keep you in cycles that only drained you. But now, chosen one, it's your discernment that will protect you, not your longing, not your attachment. Your clarity is your shield. And when you finally see that what's been pulling you down is not love, but deception, you become untouchable. Let's go deeper. This story isn't just yours, it's a pattern. A strategy used by energies that fear the awakening of powerful souls. You weren't just being distracted, you were being spiritually stalled, delayed, redirected. Because the moment you step fully into your truth, into your mission, into your wholeness, you become dangerous to every structure that depends on you being confused. That's why the switch happened. Not because you were weak, but because you were close to remembering who you really are. Many people go their whole lives never questioning the shift in someone's spirit. They stay entangled in dynamics that rob their purpose, convinced that love requires suffering or loyalty to confusion. But you're not most people. You've been marked for something higher. That's why this is happening now. You're being called to look beyond the surface, to ask deeper questions, to let go of needing closure from the imposter and start seeking alignment with your own soul. That's where the real healing begins, because here's the truth: most won't. Say, not everyone who was once good for you is still carrying their original essence. Sometimes the person you're mourning isn't even the one inside the body anymore. You've been trying to reconnect with someone who no longer occupies the position she once held. And the more you chase what's no longer there, the further you drift from your own path. It's not your job to fix what shifted. It's your job to remember what's true and hold yourself to it, even when it hurts. Love doesn't demand you to stay in a room where your spirit feels smothered. It doesn't ask you to keep questioning your own knowing. Real love brings peace, even in separation. But this connection you've been holding onto, it's only brought confusion, exhaustion, and a quiet fear that maybe you're going crazy. You're not. What you're feeling is the natural response of a soul that's been touched by something unclean, pretending to be divine. And now that you see it, you don't have to stay under it. This is the turning point. The moment where your freedom begins, not by doing something dramatic, but by choosing to no longer participate in the lie. You can love someone and still walk away. You can grieve what you lost and still choose to protect your light. You can honor what it used to be while refusing to feed what it has become. That's power. That's maturity. That's what it means to be spiritually awake in a world of masks. And as you rise into that clarity, something miraculous begins to shift. The bond that held you captive starts to loosen. The emotional fog begins to lift. You start remembering who you are outside of this entanglement. You begin to hear your own voice again, clearly, purely, without distortion. And in that clarity, you may even begin to feel a soft whisper returning, not from the imposter, but from the real one, the one who never stopped trying to reach you, the one whose spirit may finally have a chance to break through. But this time, you won't reach for her out of desperation. You'll stand in your light and allow what's real to return in divine timing. If it's meant to, you won't chase, you won't plead. You'll stay anchored in the truth you've now reclaimed. Because if she does return, it won't be the imposter. It will be the soul you once knew, the soul that had to fall to find her way back. And your strength, your discernment, your refusal to feed the counterfeit may be the very fire that lights her way home. But even if she never returns, you will have returned to yourself. There's a version of you that was buried under all the longing, confusion, and spiritual warfare. A version of you that knew your worth, that moved with clarity, that protected your peace like it was sacred. Because it is. That version is not lost. It's waking up again. And with it comes a new vision, a new level of spiritual authority, and a deeper understanding of love, not just as an emotion, but as a frequency of truth, one that cannot be imitated, one that cannot be stolen, one that you are now learning to live from. And maybe that's the real purpose behind all of this, not to break you, but to sharpen you, to teach you how to tell the difference between attraction and alignment, between desire and destiny, between someone who feeds your fantasy and someone who honors your soul. This wasn't just about your twin flame. It was about your evolution as a soul and the level of discernment required for where you're going next. Because the mission on your life is too important to stay entangled with illusions. You are not just another empath, not just another seeker. You are a key holder, a code bearer, a soul sent to shift things in the unseen. And that's why this attack was so personal. That's why the counterfeit felt so familiar. Because if you could be distracted, you could be delayed. But not anymore. You've awakened. And once your eyes are open, they don't close again. Let this be your declaration, spoken not just with your mouth, but with your life. I choose truth. I release every illusion. I break every tie with what impersonated love. I reclaim the clarity that was mine before the confusion. I choose peace over performance, stillness over survival, wholeness over obsession, and most of all, I choose to stand in alignment with the frequency of the divine, even if it means walking away from what once felt like everything. This is not the end of your love story. It's the end of a distortion, and the beginning of a new era of discernment, power, and unshakable self-possession. You are not broken. You are becoming. You've done something most never will. You didn't just feel the shift, you named it. You didn't just notice the change, you confronted it. And in doing so, you reclaimed the part of yourself that had been slowly fading in the fog of confusion. This is where your healing begins. Not the shallow kind that demands quick fixes, but the deep, sacred kind, that rebuilds your identity from the inside out. You're no longer reaching for validation from someone who lost their way. You're reaching into your own soul and remembering that the truth was never outside of you. It was waiting for you to stop feeding the lie. And now that you have, the realignment begins. And if this message reached you, if your spirit recognized it like a long-lost memory, you're not alone. I want you to leave a comment right now saying, "I choose the truth." Let that be your stamp in the unseen. Let it echo beyond the algorithm and into the spiritual atmosphere as a declaration that you are done being fooled by familiar spirits, done being drained by false connections, done mistaking pain for destiny. And if you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe to this channel, activate the notification bell, and leave your like, because this community is not just about content, it's about soul survival. To everyone who supports us through Buy Me a Coffee, your generosity is part of why we're able to bring these sacred truths into the light. Thank you for believing in this mission. If you'd like to support, the link is in the pinned comment, and if you feel called to go deeper, the next video on the screen was made for this moment. Or dive into the playlist that has already awakened thousands. This is your season of truth, and I'll be here with you through every step, every shift, every breakthrough. Because your journey is not random, it's divine, it's deliberate, and it's far from over.